Hello, my name is Ángela de la Garza Hernández, and I'm going to talk about the first chapter, the science of biology. Science is an organized way of gathering and analyzing evidence about the natural world. One goal of science is to provide natural explanation for events in the natural world. Science also aims to use those explanations to understand patterns in the natural world and to make predictions about the natural events. Scientific methodology involves observing and asking questions, making inferences and forming a hypothesis, conducting controlled experiments, collecting and analyzing data, and drawing conclusions.
Scientists use further observations to make inference. An inference is a logical interpretation based on what scientists already know. Inference combined with a creative imagination can lead to a hypothesis.
Whenever possible, a hypothesis should be tested by an experiment in which only one variable is changed. All other variables should be kept unchanged or controlled. This type of experiment is called a controlled experiment.
If several variables are changed in the experiment, researchers can easily tell which variable is responsible for any result they observe. The variable that is deliberately changed is called the independent variable. The variable that is observed and that changed in response to the independent variable is called the dependent variable.
These make detailed records of experimental observation, gathering information called data. Science uses experimental data as evidence to support, refute, or revise the hypothesis being tested, and to draw a valid conclusion. Hypotheses are often not fully supported or refuted by one set of experiments. Rather, new data may indicate that the researchers have the right general idea but are wrong about a few particulars. It is not always possible to test a hypothesis with an experiment. In some of these cases, the researchers devise hypotheses that can be tested by observations. Good scientists share scientific attitudes or habits of mind that lead them to exploration and discovery. Curiosity, skepticism, open-mindedness, and creativity help scientists to generate new ideas. Curiosity is the necessity to know about something, about how it works, about why it works, etc. Skepticism. Good scientists are skeptics, which means that they question existing ideas and hypotheses and they refuse to accept explanations without evidence. Scientists must remain open-minded, meaning that they are willing to accept different ideas and that may not agree with their hypothesis. Creativity. Researchers also need to think creatively to design experiments that yield accurate data. Publishing peer-reviewed articles in scientific journals allow researchers to share ideas and to test and evaluate each other's work. In science, the word theory applies to a well-tested explanation that unifies a broad range of observations and hypotheses and that enables scientists to make accurate predictions about new situations. Avoiding bias. The way that science is applied in society can be affected by bias. A bias is a particular preference or point of view that is personal rather than scientific.
Biology is the study of life. We can list characteristics that most living things have in common. Living things are based on a universal genetic code. This means that all organisms store the complex information they need to live, grow, and reproduce in a genetic code written in a molecule called DNA. Living things grow and develop. Living things respond to their environment. Organisms detect and respond to stimuli from their environments. Living things reproduce. All organisms reproduce, which means that they produce new similar organisms. In sexual reproduction, cells from two parents unite to form the first cell of new organism. All organisms reproduce through asexual reproduction. Living things maintain a stable internal environment. All organisms need to keep their internal environment relatively stable. This condition is called homeostasis. Living things obtain and use material and energy. All organisms must take in materials and energy to grow, develop, and reproduce. The combination of chemical reactions through which an organism builds up or breaks down material is called metabolism. Taken as a group, living things evolve. Over generations, groups of organisms evolve or change over time. Living things are made of cells. Organisms are composed of one or more cells that are the study of biology revolves around several interlocking big ideas: the cellular basis of life, information and heredity, matter and energy, growth, development and reproduction, homeostasis, evolution, structure and function, unity and diversity of life, interdependence in nature, and science as a way of knowing. Most scientists use the metric system when collecting data and performing experiments.